Meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. It is 6:01 p.m., April 1st, 2020. We're doing this over the WebEx. So the next step in the procedure is evacuation procedures. If you're all at home, you know how to evacuate. If you're at the school, take a left and a left. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Hopefully you got a Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, we can get a roll call, Steph. You can give us that, right?
Yep. Dean Candy.
Here.
Jeremy Brundage. Neil Clark.
Here.
Sarah Barnes. Suzanne Sammons. Here. Shelley Walrath. Here. Chad Barnes.
He's here.
Here.
Chad Barnes.
Yeah, somebody muted me. I'm here.
Okay.
That's
Thank you,
loud.
Chad. Joseph Natal.
We couldn't hear, so I had like, Joe.
Joe.
Here.
Adam Hara.
Here.
Billy Joe Stallman. Here. Janine Kriega.
Here.
Ted Kriega.
Here.
Kyle O'Brien. Absent. Jeff Schwartz. Greg Roth.
Here.
Stephanie Bach here. Also joining us for this meeting is Mike Stafsky from NARIC, John Labritz, and Austin Harris. We're all set. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move right on to item 2A, which is accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve and accept and acknowledge consent agenda items 2B through 2H. Can I have a motion on that?
I move.
Shelley with the first.
I move.
Sue with the second. Any discussion on the consent items?
Who's the second?
I guess we gotta do a roll call vote. So, Dean Handy,
Yes.
Jeremy Brundage,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes,
Yes.
Shelley Walrath,
Yes.
Chad Barnes,
Yes.
Sue Sammons,
Yes.
and me, yes. Very good. That was painless, kind of. I'm trying to scroll Stephanie's and I'll scroll my own. So, we don't have anything for the president's report. Just guess I'll say that it's crazy. You know, it's a circumstance that nobody ever thought would happen. And I spoke with Joe Natel today when I picked up the computer, and hopefully school opens back up. That's what I really, really hope, because they're going to lose a lot if they lose a year. So, having said that, I don't think there is any administrator's report. Maybe Joe Natel could probably brief you. We haven't seen him in a while. So I'll turn it over to you, Joe.
Okay, just a couple of brief comments. The board election and budget vote is going to be moved to at least June 1, so it could be later. And all the details regarding petitions, et cetera, will be forthcoming, as well as the timeline for the budget presentation and adoption. So we're waiting for all of that. No news on state aid yet. The governor is and the legislature is still working at that. We should probably hear something by the evening and hopefully have some information tomorrow. He is looking to review their revenues periodically, and depending on the revenues, may reduce state aid to school districts. That's pretty much where everything is at this point.
Okay. Any of you guys really got any questions for Joe? Like you said, it's still day-to-day game. So is there anybody that has anything specific? Give a holler.
I got a question for him. This is Dean. Neil, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes,
you.
go ahead.
Okay. Joe, was looking at the reports that we got back from Tim's and whatever the other guy's name is, Sikorsky.
You see, yes, Seversky.
Yeah, Seversky, whatever. And when we find out what the state is doing, will those change? Should we get to somehow get together and, in this format or however, and review those? Because just looking over those initial ones, they didn't look really great going into the future.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll,
not sure
we'll
whether-
take a look at them. We'll take a look at them also, and depending what happens with state aid and the situation we're in, we certainly can come together and review those with you, with the finance committee.
Yeah, it would be helpful, I think, because I'm kind of concerned, especially with the state saying they're going to be $15 billion short. Something in somewheres,
Yep. We may have to be a little more conservative on state aid.
Well, Dean, I did stop when I saw Joe earlier. I talked to him because as I talked to you on the phone the other day, I told you I didn't get a chance to really look at those spreadsheets. And from what you told me on the phone, it just didn't sound right. So Joe was going to also, talk to Bobby Joe about, we might have missed something because I remember a few years back we didn't forecast something right or didn't enter it in the right column. So we want to make sure they're right because we got to double check that too.
Yeah, I would be very interested to make sure they are correct.
Right. So I think all of us need to kind of dig that out and make sure we look at it. And even if you can find last year's, see the comparison to it.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So having said that, is there anything else? Anybody got anything else for Joe? Okay, we'll move on to, I don't know, Sarah, if you want to do a legislative report, if we have anything. I mean, there's a lot of big news, executive orders and stuff like that.
I think everybody's pretty up to date on what's going on with the legislative stuff.
Right.
And it's ever changing, so.
Okay. So on to, now let me see where we're at. That's the reports because there's no committees had met. We're right on to 5 new business. The first item is 5A, was authorization of pay for those staying at home. So be it resolved, the Board of Education acting pursuant to the authority granted to the Board of Education by New York General Municipal Law 92 grants to any school district employee idled by the COVID-19 school closure paid leave without deduction from accruals. For all and any days, the employee is directed by the district from reporting to the work location. This resolution does not restrict the district from requiring any employee to work regular and or modified work schedules, from requiring any employee to work from home and or requiring any employee to work via online, electronic, distance learning, or such platform. Leave granted by the action of the Board of Education shall sunset on earlier of April 15th, 2020, or the discontinuation of the executive order issued by the governor, number 202.4, as amended by executive order 202.13. or as further modified by the Board of Education. Motion.
I'll move.
Sue.
A second.
Chad, second. Any discussion? What can you say, right? Okay, vote, roll call. We'll do another roll call vote. Jeremy Brunage,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes,
Yes.
Kelly Walrath,
Yes.
Sue Salmons,
Yes.
Chad Barnes,
Yes.
Dean Handy,
Yes.
Neil Clark, yes. Okay, motion carried. On to 5B. Motion to approve the bid for contract number 7, General Construction GC07 to National Building and Restoration Corporation as low bidder in the amount of $1,049,000, including the following alternates. Number 1, roofing replacement. Can we get a motion? Chad and Sue. Any discussion? So this is the monies we had left from the big project and the bid we just did. And as you see in the email, they were over what the architect estimated, but they were under what we had for a budget. So let's pull the trigger, I guess. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a vote. Jeremy Brundage,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes,
Yes.
Kelly Walrath,
Yes.
Sue Salmons,
Yes.
Chad Barnes,
Yes.
Dean Handy,
Yes.
Neil Clark, yes. I'm only going in order of how I see you guys, so don't think, that's how I was just, Okay, the next one is a motion to approve the bid for the contract number 08 Masonry Restoration to Heritage Masonry Restoration Incorporated as a low bidder in the amount of $446,380. Can I have a motion?
I'll move.
Sue.
Second, Shelley.
Shelley's with the second. Any discussion on this? I'm thinking this must be part of the roof there up in Oppenheim where we had to do a lot of masonry repair, so. Can we get a vote? Jeremy Brundage,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes,
Yes.
Billy Walrath,
Yes.
Sue Salmons,
Yes.
Chad Barnes,
Yes.
Dean Handy.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried. Neil Clark, yes. Item D is a motion to approve the bid for contract number 09 electrical construction to Automation Experts Incorporated as a low bidder in the amount of $45,950. Can I get a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Chad with a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Chad Barnes,
Yes.
Dean Handy,
Yes.
Sue Salmons,
Yes.
Shelley Walrath,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes,
Yes.
Jeremy Brundage,
Yes.
Neil Clark, yes. Motion carried, 7-0. Next one is to approve the 2020 home run agreement. Motion to adopt the 2020 home run agreement between the Oppenheimer Freitas St. John'sville Central School and Montgomery County. Can I get a first?
I'll move.
Chad with the first.
A second.
Sue with the second. Any discussion?
Doing all that.
I'm sorry, was that Chad with the first?
Chad with the first, yeah.
Chad with the first, Sue with the second.
Thank you.
Okay, ready? Vote. Shelley Walrath,
Yes.
Sue Salmons,
Yes.
Jeremy Brundage,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes, Dean Handy,
Yes.
Chad Barnes.
Yes.
I went in a different order that time. Neil Clark, yes. Rescind the authorization of the senior trip. Oh, my battery is running low. Oh my goodness. So this is unfortunate. Nobody likes to do this. It's kind of with regret. So can I get a motion to rescind the December 4th, 2019 authorization of the senior trip to Orlando, Florida, originally scheduled April 30th, 2020 through May 3rd, 2020 due to restrictions imposed by state agencies to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make it.
Dean with the first.
I'll second.
Shelley with the second. Any discussion? Vote. We'll take Shelley first.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Sue. Chad. I saw her lip it. Chad.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
And Neil Clark is yes. So that motion carries. Let me 2 seconds while I plug in this because I don't want to die here. Plug this thing in. Huh? White lead cord? All right, we only got one left anyway, so item G is a motion to appoint the following people to the stated extracurricular appointments for 2019-2020 school year. Christy Herringshaw, driver education, $5,500 per semester. Amount may be prorated. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll move.
Who with the first?
I'll second.
Shelley with the second. Any discussion?
Is this something that's subject to being canceled because of COVID?
Some of it has already taken place prior to the closings, and whether it continues or not depends on what happens with the closings. That's why it says prorated. You'll be paid for service rendered up to the point where they're not, right now, they're not rendering any service. That answer your question, Dean?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first, who made the first motion?
Sue,
Sue?
I did.
Shelley was the second.
I got Shelley.
Neil's gone.
Yeah, guys, we lost Neil.
I can see you.
He has the little,
Battery died.
That's me. Who's he still on though?
Ready for the vote, Neil?
I think he's frozen or
Just hold on a second. He'll probably come back.
unless his computer died.
Yes.
So there he is. He's back. Can't hear him though. Is he muted?
there he is.
Austin, is Neil muted?
Yeah, I just unmuted him.
Okay.
Yeah, there you are. I got
Okay,
you.
there we are.
Yeah, well, Adam, you did that on purpose. You said I wouldn't plug it in. He gave me a laptop that didn't have much power. Anyway, are we gonna vote on Christy Herringshaw, Jeremy Brunage,
Yes.
Sarah Barnes,
Yes.
Kelly Walrath,
Yes.
Sue Salmons,
Yes.
Dean Handy,
Yes.
Chad Barnes,
Yes.
and Neil Clark, yes. Motion carried. Okay, on the other business, there isn't any other business? Unless anybody has anything? Does anybody have anything? Well, okay, again, what can you say? We should be approving a budget, but we're not, so. Cross your fingers.
Oh, wait, I do have something, Neil. Are we gonna start regular curriculum soon, over the web, or are we staying with review?
Review is done, information's been sent out to all the staff. It's all new curriculum going on now. They've been able to come in today as well as tomorrow if they need to pick up materials, have anything duplicated. Adam and Greg have provided them with a list of resources that maintain privacy in terms of any online stuff they want to do, as well as an outline of lessons for elementary, junior, and senior high school. They did a very nice job with that.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Just a quick question. How is this going to affect your special ed teachers? Since a lot of special ed students need a lot of one-on-one help. It's very hard for them to do the one-on-one help with new learning. There really isn't a lot of hours in the day.
It
Right.
is very difficult and challenging, and Kyle's working on that the best way he can. It's the bigger challenge that we have.
Okay.
Not all solved yet either.
I'm just curious about that. And the other thing is, are teachers putting it out at a week at a time, or are they putting it out day to day? Because that affects also your special ed teachers, because if they're putting the information out day to day, then your teachers in special ed are having a hard time going in to make copies.
So it depends on the classroom. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Janine.
Yeah, it depends, at least with, my staff, it depends on the classroom and how they have their instruction set up. Most of them are using Google Classroom, and our special ed teachers as co-teachers are integrated right into that classroom. So they have access to it as well, and they focus really on the special ed kids. And they're in direct contact with them. So whether they're calling or they're video conferencing with them through Google Classroom, but they've been staying in pretty good touch with them. I got to say, it's been difficult, but they're getting through it. And we have many kids using Google or Chromebooks or other devices at home to access the Google Classroom, or their iReady and things like that. I've handed out over the last few weeks about 100 Chromebooks to families so that to get people as much access as possible. But everybody is pretty active in what they're giving, and if they're using a Google Classroom regularly, if that's their main way of delivering instruction, they're putting things up every day. and they're in touch with kids every day. So I don't know about on Ted's end, but
The question to verify, because I want to verify with my kid if he's getting homework, if he's getting new stuff every day, or if he's getting like a week's worth of work to finish by the end of the week. You know, he's telling me that he's got to the end of the week to
yeah.
All right, Neil,
yeah.
we only had half the staff in today. The other half will be tomorrow. From the people I talked to today, there are some that gave them a week's worth of work with all the assessments will be next Thursday and Friday. There are others that have a long-range plan, but they're giving them individual work to lead up to that. So it's a mix. You're right. Whoever asked that question, the special ed teachers are pulling their hair out, trying to figure out how they're going to help these kids the most. I can assure you that they are spending ultimate times trying to get this done. So as we learn what's going on, it should get better, but it's not because of their lack of effort. They're spending an enormous amount of time trying to take care of our kids that are not on the regular group.
And it's a little bit different at the secondary. Like a special ed teacher there would have to deal with so many other teachers. A special ed teacher at the elementary school is working with usually 2 other teachers that they're co-teaching with. So it's a little bit easier. Plus their caseloads are a little bit smaller than the special ed educators at the secondary level. So it is much more difficult for them.
Yeah.
It's challenging. And I mean, everybody's out of their comfort zone right now. It's just finding
Challenging. It's challenging at home for parents and
Oh, it
working.
is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Your kid isn't sitting in the classroom, traditional school. So you got to try to stay on them to do. Kids are. So.
Well, the other thing,
That's why I think we need to go back to school, because we can't think that they're really they're going to lose out if you got to try to do a distance learning through the whole year.
Oh my goodness, it's
Gonna happen.
it wouldn't be.
You answered my question, so.
Just hope for the best, but I can tell you it's a horrendous amount of work for teachers and parents. And if you're a teacher as well as a parent of children at home, it's almost double work. So they're putting in a great effort, all of them. I have to give them credit for that.
Well, yeah.
As Janine said, we're finding our way. It's new material. It just started today, really.
today.
And we provide a lot of guidance and help, and we'll continue to trying to identify people who need Chromebooks, as Janine said, and we're getting those people Chromebooks. We have some problems with internet with some families. If we can help them out, we will, but that's a little more challenging. For those people, we do have packets for as well. Lunches are being delivered and being picked up every day. And I may have failed to mention earlier, but instruction will continue right on through the spring break. There is no such thing as spring break right now.
Okay. All
right. Has anything come down from the state ed on what happens if school doesn't reopen?
What happened with what?
If school doesn't reopen.
School doesn't reopen.
No, there hasn't been anything, Dean. We're going by 2-week periods with the governor and, week by week from state ed and some county officials. We're trying to figure out what we're doing right now with Regents exams. We're waiting for information on that, how it affects the June schedule. If we, in fact, do come back, we don't know if they'll extend it to the end of April or not. And we're doing some work internally. Adam's heading that up in terms of grading, because a lot of people are really wondering, our teachers are wondering, rightfully so, how do we grade our students, because the quarter has ended. So all that's in process, and we're building a plane as it flies, so to speak.
Okay.
Question.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just wondering, and I don't know if this is a question for maybe the IT department, has the district considered creating professional development opportunities online for our staff to learn things like how to do a screencast or how to do a Google Meet meeting with their students. And like staff members do still need professional development, and they need to learn how to use things like how to post something in
By
Google Docs.
time, I think we have a couple resources that come in.
Sarah, to answer your question, to be honest with you, we are not prepared to do that right at this moment, but that is something that I was thinking about we were going to have to do eventually to prepare the kids and stuff. So that is on the agenda list of how we're going to do this and how we're going to deliver it and everything like that. So.
But there is an opportunity for if a teacher has particular problems, to call IT or even come in if they, depending what coming in means. But there is an opportunity for them to call IT. They do have a 24-hour number actually, so if they get a voicemail, they can call, they'll check it and get back to them the next day. So we have that helpline, so to speak, at this point.
Yeah, the way we kind of approached in the beginning, Sarah, because we weren't sure whether it was just going to be 2 weeks, was when we met with the faculty in the faculty meeting to talk about what was going to happen. We basically said that, hey, if you're having problems with Google Classroom, we'll find you somebody within our teaching ranks that is a Google Classroom guru, and we will put you in touch with that person. And we asked the teachers to work amongst themselves to go ahead and try to educate each other on some of on the different applications. And it has worked in some cases. Some teachers have reached out to others. But we have not had any kind of formal professional development classes online to say that today we're going to be teaching how to log in and log out or how to use Google Meet with your students and things of that nature. We just recently got approval from NERIC to say Google Hangouts, Google Meet is 2D compliant. We also got word, and Mike Slosky is on this call. He said they were meeting today to go ahead and see that they were going to come down with a ruling to say whether WebEx was 2D compliant. But they all had to work through. They all have to work through NERIC. So we're covered for Google Meets. For WebEx, we're waiting for more clarification on. Zoom is not 2D compliant. There are no contracts out there through NERIC so that we can operate underneath that. But anyhow, you're right. We do need to start to talk about how to do some performance, professional development education for the students. And that's kind of like the next wave.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if this is going to extend any further, I think teachers and students will need, some sort of formal training on how to use some of this stuff.
Have you heard anything for you work? Are they doing any kind of professional development like that, or?
I was on a call today, about an hour long, where they walked us through how to do Google Meet, which I didn't know how to do before, but it's similar to this Google product.
So can I just interject? Because through all this, since school's been closed, a lot of opportunities have been coming through other places like the Teacher Resource Center. And one of my teachers that is our school contact for that, has been forwarding, these opportunities. So a lot of my teachers have been taking advantage of different webinars. Also, BOCES has put out a schedule for PLCs, so teachers can get together with other teachers to exchange ideas. And then when I've met with my teams of teachers, they would have maybe once, like, for instance, I met with a grade level today, and one of the teachers was very strong with the Google Classroom. And the other 3 teachers were not too tech, they weren't too comfortable with technology. So the other teacher's been able to teach them on how to use it. So like Greg said, they're helping each other do this.
That's good. Glad to hear. I learned something from my second grader today, so I guess we're all.
I'm sure. Kids are pretty quick, so.
I know my daughter, I don't mean to interrupt, but my daughter's been kind of teaching through Google too. And she said that they've had training, set up training at different times. And they also have a schedule where only certain classes meet at certain times so that they don't overload the bandwidth and stuff at the schools. So I guess that, like they have the math, the core subjects, the math, the English, science is at the morning and then certain times. So they do have that all set up, and then, you know, it might be something to think about
I think it's just,
doing it that way.
yeah, one of the concerns is, and it's because my wife is a teacher and she's doing a lot of stuff with Google Meet, it's the competition that you have between her and her students, and the same student being taught by another teacher in another subject, and having them schedule meetings at the same time. So there's got to be a little bit of coordination going on with that between the teachers as well.
I think that's why they have that schedule. They send a schedule up and they set it out to every teacher, and each teacher has a specific time. I think that she said she teaches Thursday, Friday. She's on with her students at different times, but her classroom is, she has junior high, and she has like a class for an hour and a half, and then the other class for an hour on, say, Thursday or something, and it's set up like that. So then Friday it's switched. So she has like 4 hours for the day. How, you know, I'm sure I can, you know, get something like that if you wanted it, but you know, just so that they're not all teaching together.
How is she delivering that instruction, Susie?
She's doing all of hers right over Google Classroom.
Is she videotaping herself doing lessons, or is she actually conferencing right with the kids?
She conferenced with some of the kids. I know that she's playing games with them. And they were to do a video, something, I don't know, some of them did, some didn't. But they've been working through that because they're all just learning. They had no training in any of it. And so they did have training. I think this is the second or third time that they've had different trainings for it, where they had specific times they had to be in, you know, on Google for the training, and then they had to meet with, you know, just their head ones. I don't know. I'm sure she would share.
I think, didn't she say she was something that she was using Zoom too? I don't.
For her game.
Greg just said you couldn't use Zoom or something.
Yeah, it's not Ed 2D compliant.
Right. She was doing it for a game.
Privacy issues with it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think it was just one of the games that she was playing with. She was practicing to get ready for her students, and she was playing it with Josie, Brandon, her girls, and so she was just practicing with that. I thought that's what she had said.
Okay, it's, I can say it's a big challenge for us, and we're learning as we go along as well, and so are all of our staff members.
Just a quick, I'd like to. Sorry.
All right.
Go ahead, Sue.
So, where are we at? I think we're at a point, there's gonna be no public comment. Anybody have anything else?
Susie does.
Just wanted to thank our teachers. I think they're doing an awesome job. They've sent out tons of information to our kids, and we're in new chartered waters here, so it's great that they, you know, they're doing what they're doing and hanging in there with us.
Rest of the staff as well. Yeah.
Everybody.
A lot of them are working.
Yep.
You know, doing what they can, and you know, Dr. Natel told me some things about that today. So everybody's trying to, you know, do the best they can. So
every one of them.
Position, and hopefully it gets better soon.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to, there's no executive session, so I guess we can just go to the adjournment of the meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Wait a minute.
Hold on. All right. Dean wants.
Is construction still continuing or not?
Yes. I'm glad you asked that, because I was going to say that. I talked to Dr. Natel yesterday, and the people are still working on our project.
Okay. Because right now would be a great time to do painting and stuff like that because there's nobody there.
They are.
Yeah, they're painting in terms of what our painting is, and there's a lot of painting that goes on with the new bid that you just awarded as well. But we are doing painting, cleaning up things, catching up on work, a lot of cleaning. We're hoping that we can get most of the work done at the elementary school, inside the school itself, done and complete, if not this week, next week. But there's been a lot of matters with it, and items with attorneys and construction managers and contractors. It's not been a smooth sail, but they're working.
Okay, anything else? Anything else, Steve? Sue?
That's it. Thank you.
Chad, anything?
I make the motion.
You
I'll
make the
second
motion.
it.
Do with a second. Okay, we'll vote then. Jeremy Brunage, vote to adjourn.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yeah.
Charlie,
Yes.
Chad made the motion, Sue
Chad.
second.
Yeah.
Dean,
Yeah.
Sue. I vote yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience in running this
Everyone,
WebEx.
thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Stay well, everyone.
Wow.
You
Bye.
too.
Thank you.
Austin, you can stop the recording.
You got it all?